You want to be wealthy, right? You want true financial freedom. Look, we all do. But what if I told you that our brains, like on a strictly biological level, might actually be addicted to being broke? When I first read this, it felt like such an incredibly uncomfortable paradox. I mean, why on earth would anyone's biology literally work against their bank account? Well, today in this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly how that happens, and more importantly, how to stop it.
I really want you to think about this for a second. Have you ever finally saved up a little bit of money? Maybe you hit a milestone you've been working towards for months, but instead of feeling secure, you felt this kind of strange sense of boredom, or actually maybe even anxiety, and then almost instinctively you just blew it on something you absolutely didn't need? If you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are not alone. It turns out we aren't just bad at math. We do it because we're caught in what's known as the dark dopamine trap. So we're going to shift the focus completely away from personal shame and guilt today, because that feeling of self-sabotage, it's really not a moral failing. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the uncomfortable financial truth. Which brings us to section 2, the biology of survival. So think about what happens when you're living on the edge. Rent is due tomorrow, your bank account is hovering near zero, and you have to hustle incredibly hard just to make it work. We're dealing with two very, very powerful biological forces here. On one side, you've got pure survival mode. Your body is flooded with severe stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline. It's an intensely stressful, chaotic state. But here's the critical catch. When you finally pull it off, when you make that last-minute sale or your paycheck finally hits the account, your brain rewards you with a massive rushing hit of dopamine. Cortisol is basically the terrifying villain in this story, and dopamine acts as the false hero swooping in to save the day. And this whole thing hinges entirely on dopamine. Now, we usually think of it as just the feel-good chemical, right? But it's actually a super powerful reward circuit designed to keep us alive. Over time, as we repeat this cycle of extreme stress followed by sudden relief, our brains start to create a really dangerous association. It begins to link the chaotic, painful struggle of surviving with a high-stakes, deeply satisfying chemical reward. So, what happens when you actually have money sitting safely in a savings account? Absolutely nothing. There's no emergency, there's no desperate hustle required. To a brain that has become biologically wired for high-stakes financial survival and that rushing dopamine hit, peace and financial stability feel completely, uncomfortably boring. Moving on to section 3, the self-sabotage cycle. This biological breakdown directly fuels self-sabotage. Imagine you get an unexpected bonus. Suddenly, the pressure is off. But your brain desperately wants that familiar roller coaster back. So you get the money, you feel bored, you spend it impulsively, you return to a state of panic, and boom, you get that dopamine hit. It's a continuous, rapid-fire loop. It's literally an invisible mechanism designed to eliminate your calmness just to get your familiar panic back. Crazy, right? We constantly tell ourselves we deserve a treat. So we engage in these subconscious impulses. We buy a brand new phone, book a lavish trip we definitely shouldn't take, or, my personal favorite, inexplicably order a $200 specialized espresso machine at 2 a.m. that we will literally never use. But structurally, your brain isn't treating you. It is actively returning you to your baseline, broke, stressed, and perfectly positioned to hustle for that next dopamine hit. You aren't managing your money, you are managing your neurochemistry. I want to repeat that because it's absolutely crucial. You are managing your neurochemistry. Let that sink in. This completely reframes everything. Your financial self-sabotage isn't a lack of discipline or a moral failing. It's a deeply ingrained biological drive. And once you realize you're fighting neurochemistry, you can actually start changing the rules of the game. That leads us nicely into section 4, hacking the dopamine trap. So the big question, how do we fix this? How do we stop relying on the panic of poverty to feel alive? Well, the good news is, because it's biology, we can absolutely rewire the glitch. And we can do this using 3 bite-sized steps: awareness, gamifying your savings, and delaying the hit. Step 1 is simple, but it is so powerful. Awareness. The very next time you get that sudden, burning urge to make an impulse buy, you need to recognize it for what it actually is. It is just a biological dopamine craving. You aren't genuinely needing or even wanting that product. You are simply trying to buy the chemical hit that comes with the transaction. Just recognizing that difference strips the impulse of its power. Okay, step 2 is where it actually gets fun. You need to gamify your wealth. You have to actively make saving money feel just as thrilling and exciting as spending it. Start tracking your net worth on a highly visual chart. When you see that line go up, celebrate reaching a specific savings goal. You're intentionally teaching your brain to trigger a dopamine hit for keeping money and building stability, rather than losing it to chaos. It's a total game changer. And step 3 is the 48-hour rule. Whenever you want to buy something non-essential, force yourself to wait exactly 48 hours. Why? Well, because this intentional delay forces the highly emotional, dopamine-hungry part of your brain to cool off. It breaks the immediate reward circuit. That gives the logical, rational part of your brain enough time to step back in and take the wheel. Finally, Section 5, taking back control. Being broke, as we've explored today, isn't just a math problem. It's a biological glitch. But look at the contrast. You now have the exact tools to move from a subconscious trap of chaos and impulsivity into a conscious state of control. You are actively choosing stability over chaos. You're completely flipping the script on your own biology. So I want to leave you with a direct challenge to start rewiring your brain today. What is one specific impulse purchase you are going to actively avoid this week to break the cycle? Really think about it. And if you're ready to commit, drop your answer in the comments below. Take control of your brain, take control of your money. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.